This is Robyn Leslie again with onlytheinspired.com doing another amazing interview. I have Miss Raya here, Raya Karin, and she has quite the story of where she came from and what she's doing now. And I think you're going to really benefit from listening to her story. You're going to connect and totally feel where she's coming from and how she came out of a really dark place into where she's peaceful and she helps people. So, Miss Raya, in a couple of minutes, describe who you are and how you help people.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am tuning into all of this all the way from Burns Lake, British Columbia, Canada. So a beautiful little small town. And I'm blessed to be surrounded by nature. I am a mom of 2 daughters, and I've just turned 45, so I'm kind of in that midlife. And I have just started really branching out and following my passion. I've got lots of experience of working with abused women and children and kids in trauma with ADHD, dyslexia, different kinds of learning disabilities. I've been coaching, but I was coaching kind of equestrian and working with animals. So I've come from a farm, and that's how I was born and raised. And so I have a lot of background in that type of coaching as well, and mentoring. And then I worked with kids from basically 0 to 19. And then I've now been branching out into more adults as well, which has been really exciting. Into kind of my private practice has quite a variety of ages I can work with. We can go out into nature with anyone. You can work with animals with anyone. And so my biggest thing here, we experience, I think all over the world, but I notice in my small community, lots of trauma, lots of really hard things that families are going through, lots of stress and overwhelm. Loss is really big as well. Especially when you know everybody and it's really small and tight knit, so everybody's kind of connected. And so having, so the trauma isn't just one person, it kind of radiates out in a smaller area, right? So being able to have different tools and a different platform outside of the traditional therapeutic counseling is really a great thing, because I can be mobile, and I can with my animal therapy, I can take my dog to an accident scene if I need to, or to somebody's home. I can travel out into different spaces around me to do the therapy sessions, which is really exciting. So it's been a lifelong dream, probably at least 25, 30 years in the making for me. And I've decided that I wanted to be my own boss again and just step out into my own space in my own world and just create that dream that I've had of having a private practice, coaching practice, mentoring, therapeutic practice, and release it and do the work that I'm super passionate about. So, yeah.
Yay. I can't wait to find out more. So how did you get started in this? What event or series of events happened to get you from where you were to where you are now?
I think there's definitely been a series of events. I mean, you can look back at your life and kind of at the timeline of things. I think the last one that was pretty major for myself, my husband, and my daughters as well. We owned a business here locally for 12 and a half years. It was a pub and grill with a liquor store downstairs. And it was kind of my husband's lifelong dream, actually, to own a business like that. And so we said, hey, what the heck, we'll go for it. Had no idea what we were getting into, of course. And we got into it, and we spent 12 and a half years in that. And I learned I could have probably wrote my Red Seal to be a full-fledged chef. I ran the kitchen, I did HR, I did all the hiring, firing, which really for an empath and a highly sensitive person is not a fun place to be. You're working with unruly people, you're working with customers, you're constantly multitasking and always on the go. We had 24 staff, so that was really very busy, and you'd get people calling in, not showing up. So you always had to be on the ball. We were open 7 days a week. And so both of us had to be on the ball all the time, on call all the time. So we go camping, we have our phones with us, we'd be at home for a family dinner. We always had to be on alert. And I think over time, we'd have and another thing with more remote communities is it's really hard to draw in really good staff and people that want to stay, and they have that good work ethic and they want to be a part of it. Also, when it's your business, it's your money, it's your investment, it's your baby. So no one else will treat it the same as you do. So it's very hard to go away, take time off, and actually come down from that and rest. And so what we found is, through all the financial, we went through the 2008, we had a local mill here blow up. We had a whole bunch of really bad financial things that happened kind of globally and within our community through that time. So we were going up and down and on the ebb and flow all the time. And there was never, that financial part was really, that ate a lot of us, a lot of the pieces of us, and kind of digs into your soul, because it's a really big part of you. So we finally, we did everything we could. We remortgaged our house 3 times. We remortgaged another property we had 2 times. We had so many family and friends invested, and we kind of came to a breaking point. We teetered there a couple times. And then we came to one that was, there was no other way. We could not do what we needed to do. There was no funds anywhere. There was nothing we could do. And this was in March of 2017. And we spent the weekend away because our oldest daughter plays hockey. And so we had a decision to make over the weekend. And it was a matter of, the universe was telling us that it was done. And we had to then tune in and be at trust and listen, which wasn't always easy because we were solution oriented. We wanted to find a solution. We wanted to fix it. We didn't want to look like a failure. So we had to make the big decision that we, as a family, the girls needed us. We needed each other. We needed to take charge of our own lives and be willing to save ourselves, basically, is what we had to do. So when it came time, that on March 17th, we basically put on our big girl pants and we walked, down the street across to the bank and went in with the keys. And we hadn't told anybody yet. We had told the one lady who was managing for us. We brought her to the home and we told her in person because she deserved that. She'd been there with that business through all the owners. So we went in there and sat down with the banker and we put the keys on the desk and we said, we're done. We have nothing left in us. Our tanks are empty in every meaning of that word. And we need to just, here it is. You do what you make. Because we could either go bankrupt, which was complicated because business bankruptcy is complicated, but we would have also each had to do personal bankruptcy. So we didn't have $100,000 to do that right? So this was what we were encouraged to do. It is what felt right. And here's the other thing. We also know everybody. So it was very scary to make that decision because you knew there was going to be rumors and judgment and all those things. But deep down, we knew in our hearts and in our souls that it was the right thing. We needed to release ourselves. No one else could do it. We gave it everything we had, all of our blood, sweat, and tears. And so together we linked arms and we made the hardest decision I think we've ever made. And after, the banker was in tears because she knew us. And she said, I'm really proud of you. I know how hard this was for you guys to come here and do this. This has been your baby, but you can't do this anymore. And she supported us, which was really lovely. And, we all had a good cry about it. And, it's taken time. It's only been just over 3 years. That kind of a decision is absolutely life altering. It had me at rock bottom. And I don't know that I realized until we made that decision how exhausted and burnt out I was. I knew it was going to save my husband from dying. It was going to kill him. He would have died there. And I didn't want that. And my girls need us, right? So, and we all need each other. So we had to start all over. And that was really scary because I knew I had already kind of had a job. I started a few months ahead of time knowing that I had to branch out. I had to kind of get my foot outside of there. So I had gotten another job as a therapy assistant. And I had finished, I was working on my degree at the same time, trying to finish my degree as well as owning a business, which was complicated. So I had little irons in the fire in other places. But, I also knew that everything that I was used to trying, because I went into fitness and I was, doing half marathons and obstacle races and all these kinds of things through the time at the pub while also having kids. And nature saved me, physical activity saved me from the stress and the overwhelm of everything. But when we let go, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't even work out. I couldn't go mountain biking. I couldn't go hiking. And I couldn't quite figure out why.
Mm-hmm.
And my body just couldn't do it. I was emotional. I was in tears all the time. I mean, I was grieving, of course, right? Because that was our thing that we put everything into. So you go through that process of grieving and overwhelm and fear and scarcity, because how the hell were we going to make a living? What were we going to do? How were we going to keep our home? All those questions. And I think so many of us go through them, and until you actually go through it, you have no idea what it actually feels like. And each individual person will go through something different. And so I really had to take time. My husband took 4 months to sleep, to eat properly, to grieve, to rest, to do carpentry, to get into mountain biking, to do all of these things so he could find himself again, which was amazing. We had that availability for him to do that. And, he's back on his feet. He's doing amazing. He's helping manage a company here locally, and he's just in a wonderful spot. But we had to hit that ugly to be able to bounce back and find what we needed to move forward. Mine's taken a bit longer, and I'm still on that journey, and I think I might be for a while, but that's okay. So I reached out finally. I'm not always good at asking for help. I think some of us like to just carry it all on our shoulders and pack that load in that little red wagon and fill it up.
Yeah.
And I finally had to ask for help because my job wasn't going well. I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't sleeping. Nothing was really working for me. And so I reached out and went to see actually a live blood doctor specialist. And so he was the one who looked at me, and he had no history, no story of my life, because he didn't want to know it. He just wanted to read my blood. And he looked at me, and he was the second person who said this. And he said, "How long have you been suffering from PTSD?" And I just, what? And then I knew what he meant. And I literally just broke down crying. And then the next breath, he said, "Your adrenals are absolutely tapped out. Like, you are beyond exhausted." And he just kept going through my whole body. He said, "If you continue on where you are going to become very sick," which would include cancer and disease and all of those kinds of things. So I knew that in my body. I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So I reached out to somebody that I thought, there's a few people locally that had gone to see him, traveled to see him. So I trusted their input, and I went out and did that. And then through that, I realized, so I started on a plan with him. I realized that I needed to reconnect in the way that my husband kind of had started to do in his 4 months. And I needed to go back to what always had made me happy and where I felt the most grounded and connected. And so then I was able to take my anxiety, my panic attacks, my depression, my PTSD, my adrenal fatigue. All the list is long, because my cup was overflowing. There was nothing left. And the other aha moment for me was, my husband's also on the local fire department. He's been a volunteer for 25 years. And we had somebody come into the department to do some training on PTSD and, fatigue and all that kind of stuff. And he takes the firefighters and he trains them, but he also does the spouses as well and the partners, because we need to know what to see. And we will also experience some of it very often as well. So when he went through the training and started to explain things, that was my other aha moment that, I had hit that bottom, and I was completely and utterly exhausted, and I needed to figure out how to fix that. And so I went to some kind of non-traditional counseling. I got into yoga, which was really nice with the meditation. I started getting back into mountain biking, which I loved, getting back out into nature and the trails. So fortunate to live where we do, so I could go out every day and just really go back to that little girl in me who always found such peace and calm amongst nature and animals. And that's where I kind of came up with the roots to wellness is, that is my roots. That's who I am. And that's always what saved me from, all the hard things when I was younger. So kind of going deep within through the meditation and through all the things that I was trying brought me to that place and that moment when I realized I had what it take. I had the tools and I kind of knew where to go and all the kinds of people that I'd like to pull in on my journey to help me. And then in turn, they were going to teach me and share with me the great skills and build my toolbox so that I could go out and then, share that same knowledge and share that space with others that are going through the same thing. So I can talk about it now, not breaking down in tears most times, but it's still very much there. It's still there. It's a piece of me, right? It's an experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that we ever fully, I don't know, fully heal 110%, but you find ways that feel right, that feel good, that things that you can do that really just fill up your soul and make you feel joyful and happy and content and grounded. And those are the things that we all need to find in our lives, because we've become so disconnected and so we're just on, and that's what happened when the world stopped, is that we've all been on this kind of roller coaster, rat race, whatever, hamster wheel, whatever you want to call it, for so long. And I'm just one person that has gone through one thing, but there's so many people who have experienced similar type situations. And just knowing that there are other people out there that have had similar experiences, that they've gotten through to the other side, they've gotten through that muck and they've survived and they've thrived and they've become, really strong, resilient people. It's just so comforting to know that, and to realize that community is huge, and there's so many health coaches and beautiful people that, we can kind of surround ourselves with, and it's beautiful. And I think that's what I'm most excited about when I look at my private practice and the work that I'm doing is that excitement and that joy that I have with that surrounding me, and finally finding myself again, that I get to share that, because that's such a beautiful gift and I'm so excited to share it.
I love that. Well, and so for everybody listening, we did an interview before, and we didn't have enough time to get into her story, and I really wanted her to explain her story more, because so many people are gonna connect, and I absolutely do. I had tears in my eyes when I was listening, because I had a beauty salon. I was a bartender who bought a beauty salon, had no idea about business. Almost the exact same day I bought the salon, I got pregnant. And then when she was 4 months old, I bought this body wrap thing. So I'm doing beauty salon, bartending, baby, and body wraps. And, the whole time I was pregnant with her, I had like 10 days off total, because I had my job and I had my bartending, and then I added the body wraps to it. And I was, the janitor and the receptionist and all this kind of stuff. I remember being so tired. It would be Mother's Day. What can I get you for Mother's Day? All I wanted was a nap. And I was so tired and so stressed. And it was one time in my life where I just would clench my jaw, because I was so stressed out, and you have to try and pretend to not be stressed, because you have and I didn't have employees. They were all independent contractors, but you got to try and keep your cool and try and, stress that the power bill's not, that the power's not going to get shut off, and have everybody know. And so a whole bunch of stress and shame and guilt and exhaustion, just so much exhaustion. And I think there's so many people that go through that, and they feel probably very alone because they don't know who else is dealing with that kind of thing. So I'm glad you brought that to the light, because owning your own business, especially a physical business, is not a walk in the park. It is hours upon hours, and sometimes you don't get any days off. And so I appreciate you sharing that. And very cool. So how do you and we have lots of questions. Let's see. I want to know a little bit more about how you help people with the nature thing, and then describe what your ultimate vision for your business is.
So with nature therapy, ecotherapy, or even forest bathing, you're taking your more traditional therapies, which are your psychotherapy, your counseling in a space. I'm taking it outside of those four walls, and I'm taking you out into nature to really kind of tune in to being present, being grounded. That's tuning into all of your senses that are out here, and also finding, as you're going through that, like we're not going out to exercise, we're going out to be in nature. So it's all about being and being present, being aware and having that self-awareness of your surroundings, being able to disconnect. So we don't take our phones, we don't take any electronics. We just want to go and experience, like, hear the sounds of the birds, feel that breeze on your face, the warm sun, or if it's raining, the beautiful raindrops, running on your face, or down, your bare feet. If we're out in a beautiful, area where you can be bare feet, having that bare feet connecting that kind of energetically to the earth. And if we're in the forest, we're connecting to the trees, and you can do some energy and grounding work with the trees as well, which is really beautiful. I usually have it, depending on the person, I kind of let it be driven by the person that I'm working with. So I have some ideas of things that I would like to work with each person, because I'll get to know a bit of their story. So when I can do it in person, we go out together and we talk. Usually a lot of the people that I've been working with have been with anxiety, panic attacks, depression, a little bit of trauma, a lot of women going through really harsh divorces lately, and separations, which that is not easy at all. It really can uproot your life. So trying to find a way that they can ground and connect. And through that grounding and connecting, you're able to, it's the same as meditation, very similar. So you can do that. You can do different forms of meditation while you're doing it. And you're really able to go deep within yourself and find those places that you really want to work on and heal. And a lot of, I let the conversation be intuitively driven. So I don't necessarily have a bunch of set questions, but I kind of know what they want to get from the session, or maybe what they're looking for, or, why they're hurting, or why they've come to me. Right. So, but it really is about whatever comes. It's amazing what happens when you're out there and you're just experiencing and tuning into all your senses. The conversations lead to the questions, lead to the aha moments of, oh my God, my sister and I had this event happen when we were, really young. Oh my, I just remembered it. That's why I can't have that connection. Or, I remember almost being run over by a car, and when I was, 6 years old. Like, there's all these things. It's amazing when you can disconnect from all that chaos and all that constant feed at you, where you can go deep into that. You'll do some inner child healing, you'll do some trauma healing, you don't really know where it's going to go, because it's not as structured, but it goes naturally where it should go, if that makes any sense. And it's a place, nature and the forest, you could be at waterfalls, you can be at the lake, or you can be anywhere in nature. And it allows you to let your guard down that you've held up to try to protect yourself for so long. And you are safe, you're protected, and you can literally have that time and space. And I like to set a nice big time space for our sessions, because people need more time. An hour very often is just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't like to I like to take some of those limits away, which I find is very helpful, because people, they're used to schedules. We're used to working that, you work these hours. Even if you own a business, you are there at 7 a.m., you go home at midnight, whatever it is. Like we are all very structured. So taking that structure away and putting that stress, just putting it away, putting it aside for a little while, and putting that person that needs, that little voice that needs to say, oh, well, no, you can't have this time. Just saying, we don't need you right now. You get to go over there. We're going to go over this way, and we need to have some time. So creating that really safe, non-judgmental, healing space is what's really important to me. And I'm so fortunate to live in an area where we have the abundance of so many beautiful spaces. And when I'm working with people online, I can go out into these spaces and I can bring people in virtually to my space. So it's a different way of doing it, but we can spend the time. I can, be doing a video chat usually is what happens, because then we can see each other. They can enjoy my nature space, and then I bring them in that way. And we can do similar things. I can give them techniques and different things that they can go and find a beautiful green space, a park, or a water space or river, whatever is near them. And then I can give them exercises to go and try and do. And then I also have the animal assisted therapy. So then I'm doing that whole thing, but I'm also now bringing my therapy dog with me, and she'll come along. If people are comfortable, she'll come along with us, and she will hold space with usually that person if they're with anxiety or trauma. They're really intuitive, and so she's being specifically trained to work with all of the things that I've experienced. So she's really in tune with me, which is really lovely. Mm-hmm. And she's in tune with all of my emotions, and they're very intuitive with people as well. And so she will come and be kind of that, if they're comfortable, people are comfortable with it, she will lay with them. She'll snuggle with them. She's very calm. She's very nurturing and loving. And so she's another tool that will help them to ground and to have that safe space to share their story, to start their healing journey. So that's a really wonderful thing that we've started as well. And I take her everywhere with me, and she's already helped me with one really bad anxiety attack through this whole COVID thing. And it came out of nowhere for me. And I was doing everything I knew. I was doing my breathing. I went outside. I did my grounding. I did some yoga poses that are really great for anxiety and panic attacks. And I was doing a couple things inside and on the floor, and she came and laid beside me, and she was just not even 4 months at this time, laid beside me, right up against me with her head on my tummy. And then all of a sudden, after about 15 minutes, she went away, went into the living room. She actually got sick, like she threw up, came back and laid with me again. So she literally was drawing all the energy from me, taking it, went out there, deposited the energy, because this never happened at all, and she has never happened since. So, and then she came back in, and then she snuggled right up with me again until I was done. And it was just beautiful. She knew exactly what to do. She didn't get hyper. She didn't go crazy. She was able to be. And so that's a really wonderful experience for people who need that extra warmth, and that that it's like giving somebody a really good hug that just needs it, that is going through something. It's that same idea in nature and with animals, is just really being able to embrace them and help them to because it's not easy to share your story with somebody. It's not easy to be vulnerable, like you and I have been. I mean, sharing the pieces of your story, I'm like, yeah, there's 100 things more I could share about mine too, and it comes over time. And I remember the first time I went to see somebody in traditional counseling, it took me all I could do to go. And she's non-traditional in the work she does, but she is considered a mental health therapist. And I've known her for 20 years. So maybe that, I was like, oh, I can't tell her that I'm broken. She's known me. She's mentored me. She's, so it's okay to ask for help. And I think the biggest thing that we have inside of us is that permission. We have to give ourselves, no one else can give us permission, but we can give ourselves permission to seek the help that we want, to seek the help that resonates with us the most, and be willing to hold space for ourselves in compassion and love and understanding so that we can heal, because we do deserve that. And it's the most beautiful journey for each person. It will be beautiful in a different way and unique. But it's always, well, it's that I don't have time, I can't, whatever. So just don't be afraid to give yourself permission at the end of the day, because it'll be the most beautiful gift that you give yourself, is the gift to heal.
And it's okay to not burden, or to not carry the burden all by yourself. And, sometimes just one conversation with somebody is like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. And a lot of people are very protective of their story, and they don't want to be vulnerable. And what I've realized with all my personal growth is when you are vulnerable, it feels like you're free. And that's when people connect with you the most. And instead of, I'm strong, I got this, I have no issues. When you're vulnerable and you say, yeah, I'm struggling with this, I'm dealing with this, and people go, me too, or, I'm there for you. And it just is very freeing not to hold that in anymore. I think it'll create all sorts of bad stuff in your body if you'll hold it in and never let it out. And it's scary. It's scary to let it out. And there's some things that I've never shared about some of my struggling with my salon that, it's embarrassing to me, but at the same time, I know I'm not the only one that's been through that kind of thing. And it's very freeing to let it go. So what beliefs do you have that set you apart from your competition? And I'm a collaboration, not competition kind of girl, but we all have our own little perspective or place that we're coming from. And you're the first person that I've heard of that does the ecotherapy. And so what are your thoughts on that?
I just, and I kind of spoke to it a little bit. I really come from a place of, obviously, experience, because I've gone through things, a place of that, really holding such an open place of compassion and understanding, because I think that's a really big thing we need to have for each other, is that awareness and understanding that non-judgment is huge. And holding that place, because when people are vulnerable and they're sharing and they're seeking someone to work with, they want to know that they're safe, they're not judged, they can be vulnerable. You're going to give them the gift of time to heal. Like, we don't have to, okay, well, you get one session and you're healed. Having that is huge for people, because if you can give them that, show them that way, then they can take all the time that they need. We're on a life journey, and we might take one little step one day, and then maybe tomorrow we'll take another, and then the next day we'll take 10. Like, there's nothing set in stone. And I think for me, what I've found that really stands out for me, and from kind of the work that I do, is not being like extremely structured and rigid. I really back off of things like that, because it isn't who I am, and it actually makes me feel very anxiety ridden, because I've had to have a lot of that structure and kind of stuff around me that I didn't really like and I didn't function well under. So, I mean, you obviously want to have tools, and you want to have, some good tips and tricks, and you want to have kind of an idea of where you're going with somebody, but not super, okay, this is the only thing we can do, and you have to use this therapy because it's going to get you where you need to be. I like to just let people understand, learn to trust their intuition again, learn to trust themselves and their gut feeling, because I think that's another thing that we really have lost within kind of the world today, is having that time to sit with ourselves and listen to our bodies, because man, it speaks loudly. The universe and our bodies and our intuition really speak to us very clearly. And the space that I hold and the work that I do allows people to get back in touch with that again, so that, there's a lot of people right now sitting where I was in March of 2017 going, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. What the heck do I do with my life?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? That's totally okay. You can totally feel that way. It is totally normal to have all of the feelings you'll go through. But there's also the fact that you get to make choices, and we all get to make choices, and we can make changes. And so I'm very open and supportive, and I love to share energy with people. And like I said, I love to really show them, like, it's almost like you're putting a mirror up to somebody, but you're not quite, and just showing them, like, giving them the gift of, like, here is what you can be. Here's all you can be. It's okay that you've been lost for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. And having that permission and that guidance, and really what I am is a guide, and I'm going alongside you. I can't do the work for anyone, but I can guide you, and I can walk alongside, and I can be your mentor and support and show you tips and tools and tricks. So instead of thinking of, a big textbook of psychotherapy, I'm not going to go through that and go through, every theoretical thing. I'm going to use different things that I've learned, but I'm going to allow it to be very naturally driven. And that's where going back to our roots, because we all have that. We all have that natural ability to heal ourselves from anything. We have that ability to grow and change and make choices. And I think that's showing people that again, and showing them and giving them that space to have the ability to do that is really what I'm really passionate about, because I was shown many of those things, and still people that I'm, collaborating with and I'm meeting, and everybody has their own unique way of doing that. And it's so beautiful. So I think it's also about energy. People that are going to want to work with me are going to relate to my energy and my story or stories, different layers of that story. Right. And they're going to want to be able to, we've got one chance at this whole amazing thing that we've got here on earth, and let's make the very best of it. Let's follow our dreams and our passions and go for it, because we have nothing to lose and everything to gain at the end of the day, right?
Right.
So,
well, and sometimes when you
beautiful.
do hit that wall and you feel like you are so overwhelmed, sometimes you have to hit the wall before you make that change.
Absolutely.
And so everything happens for a reason. And we're getting a little short on time, just letting you know. So what was the hardest thing to overcome when starting your business?
Oh, the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of judgment, that maybe good enough and I couldn't do it. I also have ADHD and dyslexia, so I've struggled with those my whole life. So staying focused is hard, but also, it's putting yourself out there. You are very vulnerable when you do that, but knowing that those who really matter the most are gonna support you the most, and are going to kind of give you that little nudge that you need to push you out there. And like I spoke just a little bit ago, it's about a choice. If I want that dream that I've had for a long time to come out into fruition, and I want to help people in a different way than I have been, I'm the only one who can do that. Nobody else can actually do that for me. So I had to be willing to take a really deep breath and go, okay, you know what? It's now or never, because I need to do this. Not I need to, I really want to, and I love it. It lights me up. It makes me feel like so much energy and so excited. And so when I feel that feeling inside of me, and I'm smiling, and I just have that amount of energy surrounding me, I know I'm in the right place. So I keep that with me and kind of keep that pushing me forward, because it is really scary. Any kind of change, any kind of new thing is super scary, but it is so worth it. Every step of the way, every person you meet, everyone you learn from, every mentor, coach, stranger on the street, whatever, it doesn't matter. It is if you can encompass all of that inside of that journey, it is like one of the most amazing things you'll ever go on. And I think fear stops us from so many things, the unknown, and you're taking a risk, but you are the one taking a risk on yourself. And I think through the work I do, when people are kind of coming to the end of it, and they found themselves again, they have that courage to take the risk on themselves.
Yeah.
So, it is scary, but it's so worth it.
All right. Let's see. And quickly, and I'm quite sure that you have this, and you've been back and forth, I think. So, do you have the support network of friends and family encouraging you to do this, or are you knowing that this is something you need to do and doing it no matter what anybody else says?
I would say a mixture of both. Everybody has been very supportive of me, but in the beginning, I think they were kind of going, is she really going to do this? Is she actually going to step out? And, they were kind of waiting with that, like holding their breath, waiting to see if I was actually going to do it. And like I said, one day I just finally had to look in the mirror and go, Raya, you can so do this. You don't need anybody else's approval. You only need your own approval. And this is your baby. Nobody else understands it. Nobody else is going to get it like you do. And if you want to do what you want to do, and you want to reach your people around the world and go on that journey and be a coach and a healer and a mentor, you need to do it. And so it was a very interesting conversation I had to have with myself. And I mean, I really do have beautiful support. And when I realized that, when I come from that really good place in my heart and that energy, the people that come out of nowhere to, speak with me, to work with me, to learn from me, to just to have a friendship, whatever it is so beautiful. And every day that happens more and more, I think it just fills my cup, and it just fills me with more and more joy. And that is the most amazing thing about it. So there's no looking back now.
Yay. Well, and yeah, we can be our own critic. And sometimes we have to do it, I'm the only one that believes in this. I'm doing it anyways. You know what I mean? Yes.
Yep.
Let's see. So, what is your favorite thing about your business?
My favorite thing is I get to be really, truly who I am, and really authentic to what speaks to my heart and to my soul. And one thing I did learn from our business is I really enjoyed being my own boss. And I really like just working with myself. Eventually down the road, I will have people working with me, and kind of doing, when I'm really doing a lot of the one-on-one and face stuff, and kind of do my groups, and I want to venture out and kind of do retreats and all that kind of stuff. So when I'm that busy, I will have, people working with me that are like-minded, being able to do some of the things I can't. But the best thing is I get to choose. It's my choice. I get to paint this beautiful picture however I see it, and I get to share that with every single person that I could, around the world. So I think that's the most exciting, amazing part about it. And I'm the author of my own book, right? So
exactly. Yay.
Yeah.
Yes. And sometimes it takes us wanting to express our voice, and our voice not being heard multiple times before it's like, screw it, this is my thing. I am going to paint it however I want, and nobody's going to say anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So one big question. So if you could leave one tip or one golden nugget for the people listening, and it was the only thing you could tell them and your only chance to say it, what would that be?
You're worth it. And the journey starts with you, and you have the choice to start that journey today.
And it doesn't matter what happened in the past, or
nope.
how overwhelmed you are. Today is the first day of the rest of your life, and absolutely you're totally worth it. And we all have our own gifts that we need to share and connect, and Yeah, so I love that you're helping people heal from all of, you know, whether it's just overwork, trauma, PTSD, all that kind of stuff. I think that's beautiful. And how you're doing it is beautiful. So is there anything else that you would like to share before we tell them about your giveaway?
The biggest thing for me is that I've shared with a lot of people, especially during this really stressful time, is even if you can't get out in nature, you know, I've taken everybody out here so they can hear the birds and just be a part of my space. But if you can open a window, you can see a green space, you have plants, you have the sunshine coming through your window. You don't actually have to go physically right out and immerse yourself in nature to get the effects of what it does. Opening your window, feeling the breeze, feeling the warm sunshine, sitting by your plants, you know, having whatever it is, you have pieces of nature. Even if you have a little park right beside you, go out into that park barefoot and sit. There's always something available to you. Just you have to sometimes think outside the box and be willing to try it on and to see. So that's one thing I help people with too, is, you know, when people who are living in big cities and they're feeling that overwhelm, how do we get them to where they need to go? And how can I share that differently? Because not everybody can get out here, right? So that's a big thing. Yeah.
Awesome. So Miss Raya is giving away a free 20-minute consultation. So, and we're doing the Raya Karin roots to wellness.ca and then /discovery, right? Yeah. Okay. So all you have to do is go to Raya Karin Roots to Wellness. So it's RayaKarin and then /discovery. And there you could put in your contact information and sign up to get a 20-minute consultation with her. And, you know, maybe just feel her out. And, you know, she's been through a lot. She can help you overcome so many things. I highly, highly encourage you to go there, sign up for the 20-minute consultation. And please, if there's anybody that you feel that needs to hear her message, because there's so many of us who have been through that, where your body can't handle anymore and you don't know what steps to take. And, you know, is it medication? Is it, you know, there are ways to heal without that. And if you feel like you're overwhelmed or know other people, please share this video. And, you know, let's help as many people as we can. So I appreciate you so very much. And I'm glad that we recorded this, because your story is so impactful. And I, for one, completely resonate with it. And I absolutely love that. Thank you very much for being here. And thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. Share the video and go to Raya Karin roots to wellness.ca /discovery and sign up for that 20-minute consultation. So thank you very much, everybody. Bye, Miss Raya.
Thank you.
You're welcome.